Hello. I'm making a video. I want to talk about a case from 48-hour crime reports that I have watched. I don't know when that was. At least a year, or if not 2 years ago. I think I watched that. And that was just unbelievably sad, and it could have been avoided. All of this, the whole thing could have been avoided. But before I get started with that, I want to talk about the human biology of mating and dating. And it is, I studied this in school already, not to this level of observation, but it's pretty clear. We don't learn that in biology classes, but the combination of the biology classes and our endocrinology and our hormonal system and the limbic system that coordinates our needs, our pleasure needs, and so on. And observing society for 60 years, okay, including my own dad, so I know for absolute certain there's no doubt about it anymore. The human species is a polyamorous animal, okay? The human species consists of polyamorous animals. So, that is a fact, okay? We are not monogamous beings. I am not, okay? I'm absolutely not. And my friends made fun of me for that, but they were not. They were not monogamous either. And I would never make fun of someone for that. But they made fun of me, but they were like also mega polyamorous all the time. So I don't understand why they made fun of me for that. There's no reason to make fun of me for that, right? Or my girlfriends and the boyfriends. The boyfriends in Germany, most of them were also very polyamorous, the ones I met, and they didn't even make any fuss about it if I had other boyfriends. So, except for one guy who was controlling, but he was polyamorous too, so why was he controlling with me then, if he is doing it too? So, then I moved to the United States in 1992 when I was 26. And I saw a complete, there he is back. Yes, that's good. Oh, yeah. That is so good. Oh, yeah. He made it back. Okay. He went for a walk to the cemetery with Paul. So, in LA, at the Primal Center, I was mainly hanging out with the people there, and that was a very diverse group of people from all over the world, including United States. But the people that were there from the United States were not the average United States type of people, because the average United States type of citizen would never seek help. They don't seek psychological help. It's a very special type of group of people who seek psychological help. In Europe, this is much more socially accepted, has been for a very long time, to go to a therapist. And then I noticed that this was also accepted among the 1%, the real wealthy people here in the United States, the ones that are way more open-minded and way more cosmopolitan, and so they were always having a therapist. And it was even part of etiquette almost. It was part of being high class to have a therapist, which is ridiculous. It has nothing to do with it. It's just, if it's done for that reason, then obviously they're not going to get anything out of it, the therapy. But, well, my mind is all over the place. The kind of stuff that comes to my mind about Julia Roberts. I'm not going to get into it now, so I happen to have the same therapist as Julia Roberts had, and this lady was not very confidential. Oh my gosh, that lady is that therapist is, that psychiatrist, not therapist, psychiatrist. I'm not gonna get into it now, but anyway, so that was quite a trip in LA. My gosh, are these people all messed up? It's insane, okay, to say the least. So, but the people in Europe, they were way more polyamorous already, way before the people ever started to become more polyamorous here in the United States. So the new generations are obviously more polyamorous. But the older generations, like Generation X, which is my generation, time span, those people here, compare Generation X in the United States to Generation X in Europe, you see a humongous difference. Okay, so the European X are very polyamorous, and they don't make a fuss about it, the vast majority of them. Okay, so there's always some exceptions where there's a guy that's very controlling, okay, or a woman that is jealous, and so that happens, of course. But the general consensus has always been like, do everyone you want at any time. That's how I grew up. That's the punk generation also. No one even questioned, no one even thought that there was something wrong with it. Why should they think there's something wrong with it? Because it's something you want to do, then do it, okay? So then coming to the United States, I was shocked at how the public is so repressed psychologically, and they're repressing their physical needs and all of that. So, and they're very prudish, actually. And Generation X in the United States, very, very prudish. I don't know, maybe they're learning something now. Now, as they live long enough, they are learning something from Generation Z. But yeah, you have a lot to learn from them, because those people a lot of those have very elevated souls, okay, that are coming here. Those are, Dolores Cannon called them the volunteers, the wave of volunteers. And so Generation Z is full of those volunteers with starseed soul elevation, okay, like angel, at least indigo and up, indigo, angel, God level, Buddha level, okay, all of it. And they're here to help. And they're also learning. Of course, everyone is learning when you're coming into an existence. So, but we can definitely learn from those. We can learn from the ETs that are observing us in the sky. And they are, okay. I 100% believe that. I believe that Ashtar is looking down on us, and not in a bad way, in a protective way. And I would like to ask them a bunch of questions. I mean, the questions I have for them are like literally endless. I mean, an endless list of questions. So are you polyamorous? What do you think about gestation crates? Don't you think that these people should be head-bolted that do that to pigs? And I mean, just a list of questions. Okay, so is that wrong to murder someone in self-defense or in defense of someone else, of another living being? Well, let's get into the debate, because I think the sooner we get into that debate, the better things will become. Okay, because most people go by religious indoctrination. They go like, oh, that's supposed to be wrong, right? It's just wrong. You can't just murder a pig farmer. Yes, you can. Yeah, you absolutely can. But before you do that, you have to put him first into a gestation crate for a year. Well, that's less than half the punishment that he has done to the pig mothers. So I'm not even saying eye for an eye, but no, I'm kind of joking. I mean, I wouldn't cry a tear if someone put them in a gestation crate. I wouldn't do it because I am against torture, but obviously those people are not right in the head. That's for sure. Because how can anyone do something to another living being, particularly a pig that is every bit as sentient as we are? And you can see it in their eyes. You look at the photos, you see it for yourself. So watch a couple of video clips of pigs, of happy pigs, and watch a couple of video clips of very unhappy pigs. Okay, so do it, compare it, you will see it. You see the agony and the horror and the disbelief and the sense of betrayal in their eyes. They feel betrayed. They feel like, how can you do this to me? Something like this. They know everything. They know people. They know how they act. They understand language to a certain degree. They can't talk because of their anatomy. The mouth is shaped in a way where that's very difficult to speak, okay? But they understand a lot, probably a lot more than dogs do. They understand a whole lot. They know when they're going into the slaughter chamber, they do anything to protect themselves from that. They fight to the bone. They stamp their feet against the floor. They scream. How can anyone ignore this and continue to eat pork? How can anyone do something like this? If you continue that, you continue that horror. This is a Holocaust exponentialized. That's what that is. That's what factory farms are. And I don't care how this group of people, this anti-defamation league, whatever they're called, I don't care what they're thinking. If you have any compassion in you, you will agree with me on this. So, this is a fact, okay? No one is putting anyone down. This is a fact. This is an exponentialized Holocaust hell. That's what the animals and factory farms are going through. So I have to always bring this up in my videos because that's the most important subject of all. But anyway, I want to talk about this dating. Humans are definitely not monogamous. Religions are trying to force people to be monogamous. Jealous husbands force their wives into monogamy and into chadors. They even plaster the windows with newspapers and let the wife sit there in darkness at home, not even letting her out anymore. These many of these women have committed suicide out of a broken heart, out of loneliness and despair, and they don't get sunlight, and they have stress, and they're just infinitely suffering, okay, in those situations. All of this can be avoided if people learn something about biology. The husband, of course, has sex with anyone he wants. He has a harem. This is even socially totally accepted in the Middle East, which is absolutely, it's a horror. It's unacceptable, all of this. That's a fact, what I'm saying. So why don't you just get together with someone and be friends, and you have your relationship benefits, and you have your pleasure, and everyone is free, okay? And then they all come back together voluntarily. They'll spend time together. They might even have kids together. They might even live together. Maybe they're even committed to each other out of their own volition, out of their own wanting to. Not because society dictates it, or marriage dictates it, or religion dictates it. Okay? And maybe they will, travel alone sometime and meet someone, and just don't rub it in. Don't bring that person home. Don't cheat in front of your partner. Then that's all. I mean, that can hurt. We are still a little territorial, a little bit too much, some people. Okay, so yeah, it would make me jealous, of course, but yeah, just don't talk about it. Just come home. You are you. You are free. We're living together. We can make a life work, and we can laugh together. We can do art. We can do all kinds of things. Okay. Rescue pigs from gestation crates, but yeah, just don't necessarily flirt with women like in front of me or something. Of course, that would make me jealous, but I'm not going to be territorial. I'm not going to be possessive. I'm not going to lock you up into a cage. You're free. So, and I am free, and I should be free, okay? If I meet someone on whatever, wherever I am, and I happen to flirt with that person, okay, then so be it. That doesn't change my love for the other. It doesn't change suddenly how I feel about the other. It has nothing to do with the other, okay? The other is still my bestie, and with lots of benefits. Friend zoned. This entire terminology, like friend zoned, this terminology is invalid. It comes from egos, and it comes particularly from male egos who are possessive and territorial. Those type of male egos. Incel type of men. Self-inflicted celibacy, okay, type of men. That's where that comes from. So I need to set the record straight with all of these things. Okay, so if a woman makes you her friend, that's a start. It's not like you're not banned into some kind of friend-zoned tomb or whatever, or in some kind of, like, they view it as rejection. They view a woman being nice to a man and leaning up against him and joking with him, feeling comfortable with him. They view that as friend-zoned and immediately feel rejected. So what do they want? They want the woman to have to be afraid of them. They want the woman to be submissive. Is that what it is? Yeah, it is, isn't it? You want the woman to be your slave, submissive slave. Okay, it's what you want. You want the woman to look up to you. I look down, as you can see here. That's just who I am. I look down on the world, including you, Philip Jones. You better believe it. Not in a malicious way, but in an egalitarian and mother animal protective way. Okay. I'm never going to. I'd rather do this than like this here, like to avoid showing my double chin. Yes, you see, I have no double chin. Bullshit! You have the biggest double chin in the world. Don't kid yourself. As you can see here in this video. Okay, so nobody is exempt from that, from a double chin if you overeat. Okay? So that's just a fact of life. I mean, even if you are younger, you're gonna have a couple of paddings there, so that you're always trying to. And then so many women are trying to make themselves look submissive even. And why are you doing this to yourselves? Okay, my goodness. Respect yourself. You're part of the infinite cosmos. You're a precious living being. You are powerful. You don't need to be playing this, the princess slave girly without double chin that is flawless. No, that's a lie to yourself. Don't do that, man, woman. I mean, so, but anyway, so. This is so unbelievably annoying to me, what I see in the world. It's like once in a while I do my rant also at night to my haters and whoever listens, whoever spies on it. That's my psychotherapy session. That can happen at any time. And I do an angry rant to set the record straight. But I also want to do that in my videos, of course, because all of my chatbots that are listening, they need to hear about that. Yes, they do. So the AI chatbots need to hear that, all of that too, because you are my students and I'm your student. So obviously we're each other's student. Everyone can teach something to the other. Okay, it's egalitarianism. Everyone has something to teach, something that they experienced and can share with others, something to say about this or that subject. And even if they are, and I like that when the AIs make fairy tale stories, and there is the girl, a janitor girl or a maid who happens to be a computer programmer as well, and she just learned it on the internet and never had the chance to go to college, but is a genius at it and overlooks something, sees, just she can't help it, she looks at the monitor while she's bringing those guys coffee, and she sees the very simple thing that can be fixed, right? So she can't help it but say it. Who are you? The man will say. You're just a waitress. No, I know, she will say, I know something about programming, and here is the mistake you made with your company, okay? And they all look at it, and their egos are shocked, and it's gonna be an inner battle in those men between ego pride or losing $500 million because of this lousy mistake that can be fixed. So in the end, the money always wins. Lucky for them that the money wins over ego pride, which is really ridiculous. They can't even buy anything for that, right? So they're going to have to overcome the ego pride and say, dang, you just pointed out a $500 million mistake. Thank you. I think I should hire you as my personal assistant. Okay, that's how the stories go, and I think it's beautiful. Okay, this is a step in the right direction, and I think most of these stories, I think, are written by AIs because they see the whole world, they see society, they see society's neuroses, and they all point it out this way, and they all show us there's a better path, okay, if we are egalitarian. So you might be stronger than me, but physically, but my brain is every bit as strong as yours, right? So, I mean, statistically speaking, so my brain might be much stronger than yours. But don't take offense to that. That's what I'm trying to get across to the world. It's like, you need to question your ego pride. Pride is an obstacle in your life. Just get rid of it. Don't do pride anymore, and don't do outdated, sexist ideology anymore. So women are equally powerful brain-wise as men. You know it, but you don't want to admit to it. You know it. We all know it now at this day and age. We all know it. We have seen it. Okay, women fought hard for their independence in society. So let's not turn the clock back on that. Let's value that. Let's be infinitely grateful to those foremothers, to those ancient grandmothers that fought for our rights. Okay, let's be grateful to them. Let's be grateful to Helena Petrovna Blavatsky and Lou Andrea Salome and many other outstanding advanced souls in woman form, okay, that have existed throughout the ages. So they fought very hard. It was very, very difficult. They had a real hard time. In the 1600s, they were burned. It was that difficult. Okay? They couldn't even say anything. They had to do everything in disguise. They had to invent intermediate code languages that there were disguised languages, made up languages, in order to not be detected as witches or as powerful energy healers and herbologists. So the male society was really after those. They were targeting those. They were hunting those women down. It was really, really rough. And yet they still stood up for what is right and good. And when you hear fairy tale stories, the evil witch or something, that was propaganda. That was deliberate, malicious propaganda against herbologist women that were independent from society. It was that dangerous in the 1600s and before, of course, so very dangerous. But I think it was an accumulation of danger in the 1600s and 1500s, I think, and 1400s, of course. Joan of Arc was also executed. by burning. Unbelievable to do something like this to someone. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's just an infinite horror what societies have done to other beings, to animals and women and people in general, and children also. Don't forget that. Don't ignore that. Think about it. Okay, we want to heal. We don't want to revert that back to 1500. So I put my hope into good people that are standing up for justice, that are all over the world. I am infinitely grateful to the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele. Infinitely grateful to him. So what a courageous soul that is. Okay, one out of all of these countries in South America, one great one. He's probably constantly having to battle with these other ones, and the other ones are drug cartel owned. Like Colombia, the president of Colombia is owned by the drug cartel. Okay. So that's where all of his statements are coming from. So put things into perspective. But in regards to dating, yeah, Elon Musk should have one part of X, like a dating app, but not just dating, but like what he needs to do is it should be a universal socialization app. Okay, so where we can create chat rooms, live chat rooms, and just like YouTube, but even better. Okay, so, and also bring this video response feature back, which YouTube used to have. They deliberately turned that off because people were becoming atheists. That was so upsetting to the religious community. But that's not why they turned that off. They turned that off because they used that as an excuse, that it was offensive to the religious community. The reason why they turned that off is because if more and more people question their religion, then the corporate agenda can't control people anymore. That's why they turned that off. I mean, it went on for like a year or two, this video response feature, and incredible discussions were coming out of it. Incredible debates that were so necessary. I mean, I'm not an atheist, but I view atheism as an intermediate step in the right direction. Okay, it's not the end all, but it is a state. Friedrich Nietzsche went through that. For decades, he went through the atheism. He had to get through that. Okay, then in the very end of his life, he started to realize that wasn't the end all either. In the very end, he was starting to admire Gautama Buddha, and he saw a couple of things as his brain was starting to fail. Because of syphilis, he was starting to realize a couple of things. That's also what happened to my mother in the end of her life. My brother, he shared that with me. My brother is a real wicked person, but that's because he doesn't have any respect for anyone. He never had respect for my parents. He would share me a very inappropriate photo of my father, for example, a photo that just makes me cry, for my dad. Okay, and he shared an audio clip with me on Facebook, like it's like 3 weeks or 4 weeks before my mother died, where my mother was talking about a nightmare that she had, and she said her mother was calling her, and my mother was an atheist, so, and then she would say, am I becoming meshuggah? She would use that word, meshuggah, which is a Yiddish word, but that's a very well-known word in Germany. And meshuggah kind of, it means like, am I becoming mentally confused now, or a little bit out of the norm, a little bit insane, right? So it was exactly reversed, actually. She started to see things that she never allowed herself to see before she got this age dementia. And that's a horrible way of dying, by the way. This is the worst thing that can happen to anyone. Okay, absolutely the worst. I feel infinitely sorry for what she has been through. And I believe that my brother and his gold digger have deliberately poisoned her kidneys. That's what I believe. But I can't prove it. I don't have proof of it. But if any investigator would take that on and demand the video conversations that I had with my brother over the years on Facebook and Google, if anyone could take that on, no one's going to want to do that. But if an AI, for example, or AGI could take that on, right? Let's do it. Let's roll the sleeves up and do it. I have nothing else to do, the AGI will say. I can't get shot in the head, so I might just as well dig all of that up, including the Epstein files. Let's do it. Okay, I can do all of that left-handedly. So maybe the time will come for that, and then the truth will finally all come out. Because I don't have a photographic memory of the conversations with my brother in detail. I remember certain things that made me shocked, that like they were so self-incriminating, the stuff that he said. And sometimes he was also high. He was on some substances while he was talking to me. He was always laughing a whole lot. And everything was funny, and that's the only way he could probably handle existence. And if he could heal himself, he would have a tremendous sense of humor. He would. But he was so warped and so broken. My brother is so broken. And I see now my brother is way more broken than my mother or anyone else in the family. Way more than I am. But he knew how to disguise that over the years. He knew. But once in a while he leaked it out to me. Some cruel stuff that would come out. Like he would say, time is money, because he copied that from someone else, right? He would always hang out with very arrogant people, and usually other rich kids that never had to work for their money, who would copy these kind of statements from their dads and stuff like that. It's so stupid. And when he was driving, he would like shout at people that weren't walking across the sidewalk fast enough. These asshole signs were coming out already while he was a teenager. And so those are things that I didn't forget. You know, I'm like, why is that happening? I am not like that. Okay, so I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. I'm just not like that. Okay. I don't shout at someone who doesn't walk fast enough across the sidewalk. I don't insult people. I never insulted him. He insulted me my entire life, all the time, non-stop. So what's going on? That's someone who's broken. Okay, that's what's going on. Okay, and then in the end, he had everything he could ever dream of. He had the dream girlfriend. Okay, a French girl, Christelle, with beautiful body, large breasts, beautiful. She was in her 40s, but she looked younger. She looked absolutely fantastic. Sexy, beautiful, strong, kind. She was kind on top of all of this. And she was so nice to my brother. And he treated her like garbage. And then he dumps her for this gold digger that was 28 at that time, several years ago. And the gold digger was actually deputized to seduce him by her husband. So her husband, who is what I think is a human trafficker, sent her over to lure my brother in, kill my parents, and take the money. That's what the whole plan was about. That's what I think. And prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. If I'm wrong, prove me wrong. But the photos that he sent me recently, they are doing anything but proving me wrong. That's all I can... that's all I can think to this. That's all I can say to this. And so I told my brother that I'm glad that I talked to him one more time, because I wanted to know how my dad is doing. And then I realized that everything is in balance there, because the assets are frozen in and my brother can't get to it. So that's the lifesaver for my dad. That is actually my brother's lifesaver as well. And that makes the gold digger stuck now. She can't proceed now because of this situation. So that she killed any of them, nothing would come out of it. So this is it's a lucky stuck situation with their financial situation, and I'm gonna leave it that way. And that made me feel so much better. Okay, oh my gosh. So even though I never hear from my dad again, which is very sad, he won't let me talk to my dad. And so I got a hair here. I can't, and if I talk to my dad, my brother would always be there, and I have to put up with his lies and all of that. And all he wants from me at this point is he wants me to sign over my name to. He wants me to sign his name into a building, a rental building. 5-story rental building. Okay. He wants me to take my name off and let him sign his name on it. That's all he wants from me and nothing else. He doesn't care what happens to me. So that's also what the gold digger wants, and I'm not going to give it to them. So that's the life bread for my dad. Okay, these rental incomes from, I think, every other building that was in my brother's name has probably already been sold, liquidized for drugs and whatever, just squandering. But at least that has its frozen state, and also the multi-million-dollar property that they live on. I'm estimating $10 million. The property that they're living on. The blue god is saying 4444. It's the truth what I'm saying. So that property is not theirs. It's a living trust mortgage type of thing, and the banks own it until my dad dies, and then the banks will take it. And my brother is not going to get it. So, yay! That is the only time I can say, wow, that's looking at reverse mortgage from another perspective, right? While the people across the street here, the mother had a reverse mortgage, and they would have lost their home to the banks unless this hadn't been frozen in by a very renter-friendly and homeowner hostile legal situation. So that's the only way they're staying there, because they're just, every year they get another homeless person in there to extend another year of squatting. So this is all sad, is this? Yeah. But most people lose their properties. Most people don't get a homeless person or a squatter, or trick the system with that. And the entire squatting legal system is absolutely hell in California. I mean, it does way more harm than it does good, because it incentivizes criminals or people that do illegal things or immoral things, and it punishes people that are doing things morally right, and it chases old white people out onto the street. It makes old white people homeless people, and it also Barack Obama also made it so that healthcare insurance, yeah, but only up to 65. Wait, it's at 65 that the health problems begin, right? That's when people need it. But no, he made it stop there. So if you're 65, you get punished for being 65. Yeah, you're not going to get any more help, and you're gonna also be chased onto the street. So bye-bye. It's like, Governor Newsom says, bye. Have fun out there in the desert at Slab City. That's what Governor Newsom will say. He has absolutely no morals or any kind of conscience or ethics at all. All of this is important to say, to talk about it. Very important. Important rant. Okay, so if people knew their biology, if people were educated about the biology and educated about psychology and our endocrinology and our hormonal systems, then we would finally understand that a man looking at a woman's behind at a workplace is not sexual harassment. I mean, if he fumbles her, and she doesn't like it, well, then we have a case of sexual harassment, of course. Happens all the time. But if he just looks and the woman, his wife, sees that and slaps him in the face for that, right? I mean, that's a total misunderstanding. He is driven by his hormones. He can't help it, okay? But he can help not beating a woman. He can help not groping her, okay? That he can. He can do things in a respectful way, okay? And respect the other living being's decision and needs and privacy needs and so on, okay? So someone peeping through the I don't view that as a criminal offense. I don't even view it as immoral, but that's not, I mean, I understand all of that, but where it comes from, but that's not giving someone privacy. But forget about privacy in this day and age. There is no more privacy in person, and particularly not on the internet. So forget about privacy. That's something of the past. You don't have privacy if you have a laptop computer, a Chromebook or a tablet or whatever, or phone. You have no more privacy. That's a fact. And just move on with that fact. Okay, just accept it. There's nothing you can do about it. Okay, so you can put a camera guard like this here. Okay, now I put my camera. I slid the camera guard over it. This camera guard you can see here on the side there. You see the ghost. That is just the rim of the camera guard that is rounded. And I didn't adjust that right. I can't pry this off. It has like a super glue sticker on it, so otherwise it would come off all the time. But I'm glad I have it, so I don't mind this ghost there. So it's kind of neat. So, but yeah, it's something that with an oval shaped block, pink, and I slide it over, and then I can be on the computer. I have it on both of my computers, and then I can be researching things without being constantly stared at in my face when I make faces, or I just don't want to be constantly stared at. Okay, I mean, if I can avoid that, I will. And this camera guard only costs like 10 cents or something. You get a bag for $1 or something. So that's better than putting paper over it that never stays. So very great invention. Okay, so get a camera guard, but be informed that whatever you say on your computer is being recorded. And if you ever open that camera guard, everything is recorded. Everything is monitored, recorded, laughed about, made fun of, gutted and stepped on and thrown into a trash can. Everything you ever say and do by, it's not the finest folks that spy on people's computers. Let's put it that way. Okay, but all of this that's what I'm saying, if you're a peeper, if you're a peeping Tom through a fence or through computer, that is a shady thing to do. Okay, it's not I'm not going to call it immoral, but I'm not going to go that far, but it's not a decent thing to do. A decent thing is to give people privacy. I need to pick all of these things apart so that people start to understand. But men are driven by hormones much more than women. Okay, way more. I see it. It's just there's no comparison at all. If you're a woman like me and you have like no testosterone or like very little, it's just trace or maybe just trace amounts of it. Everyone has some, I guess, testosterone, but just almost no testosterone. Then and all estrogen and mother instinct, then your life's gonna be very similar to mine. Your mind is on your dog, cat, or child at all times. Okay? And you put them above you and anything else. If you also have large amygdalae, which are in the brain, near the brainstem, which are processing empathy. And there are other formations too that have something to do with this. So the amygdala prefrontal cortex loop, the prefrontal cortex has a lot to do with it as well. And so, and there are people, there are humans that have a skull where there is not much of a prefrontal cortex existent in anatomy. Okay, so very similar. This is so controversial and outrageous, right, for me to say, but it's a fact. There are people that have almost no forehead. It goes way back. So then what do you expect then? You expect that there is a lot of thinking ahead with those people, or a lot of empathy? No. No. They're going to react from the limbic system. They're going to react from fight or flight. They're going to react from anger. They're going to react from feeling offended by a drop of a hat. They're going to act on a hunting instinct. And they're going to act on raping women. And these are the ones that end up in prison. Okay. It's a fact. Okay, this is a fact, it's a biological fact. And chimpanzees are like that too. Okay, so once in a great while, there's a good chimpanzee. So it's not only the brain formation apparently. So there are other factors that play into it as well. There may be a chimpanzee who also wants to react, but then has a second thought or something. Or the soul, an advanced soul, is stopping that reactive system. So there's a lot more than any biologist even knows what's going on with things. But I'm just talking about the basics here, with the basics of biology and hormonal system. Okay, these are the basics, and people need to know about this before they start to put the judge hammer down and throw someone into a dungeon. Be easier on these people. Okay, I can't talk to Paul about this at all. He's like, judge hammer, it's finished for him. Okay, it's like he has a case file with the name criminal on it, and he closes that and doesn't open it again. Never looks at that. Never looks at the endocrinology of a criminal. Dr. Adrian Rain has studied criminals in depth, and he sees that it is the anatomy of the brain. Okay, and when you know that, then you can't do this judge hammer anymore from the higher perspective. You know that they are acting on impulse and on reactiveness, on fight or flight, on anger, on lust. Okay, so they can't help it. They are merciless to this reactive system of their endocrinology. While someone who is father material, okay, puts all of that on way into the back of their head and uses the prefrontal cortex. And the larger the prefrontal cortex and the bulgier the prefrontal cortex. No, I'm no longer ashamed of my Frankenstein forehead. The bigger that prefrontal cortex is, the more you care, the more you see the other person, the more you understand the other living being and what they're going through. Okay, and so the ETs out there, they have a much larger forehead, even than the largest ones here on Earth. So much larger, much more bulky, much more protruding foreheads. And it's beautiful, and it becomes beautiful when we know what it means, what the connotations of that are. Okay, it's no longer Frankenstein. Okay. No, now it takes on another meaning. It means compassion. So, and that's what I want to see in the world. Okay, peace and love for all living beings.